Today we're breaking out the Bible because today is today is a day. Today is a day where we're gonna open the Bible together and we're gonna read it. Hey guys, it's Kendra, back with a new video for ya. Okay, I'm actually really excited about this video, or actually it's a series of videos. That's right, this is my first little mini series for you guys, but I'm actually really excited for this series because we're going to be talking about spiritual warfare. And spiritual warfare is something that I find very interesting because I feel like I've experienced it a lot. And also I wore this shirt in honor of what we're going to be talking about because I thought it was very appropriate. So this series is going to cover a few different topics. First of all, this is the video where we're going to start things off and I'm going to talk to you about our opponent, the enemy, Satan. Part 2 is going to be talking about the devil's tactics and the kinds of things that he's going to try to do in order to, take you down. And then part 3 is going to be about how we can respond to that and what we can do to combat it. So that is my plan. I did a lot of different research. I cracked open my Bible a lot, and I'm going to have a lot of different Bible verses to tell you guys about to kind of back up the things I'm going to say. And we're going to dive into it. So spiritual warfare isn't something that we talk about very much in the Christian community, or at least the Christian community that I'm part of. I don't feel like we talk about it very much. Probably we don't talk about it enough, but I think that people just shy away from it because they don't want to blame Satan for all their problems, and it's kind of honestly scary to think about, Satan being real and, what he's doing. But if we're going to, properly address our enemy, then we need to know who the enemy is. So that is what we're going to do. So break out your handy dandy Bibles and go to John 8:43. I'm starting there because we need a little bit of context before we jump into this. So basically Jesus is talking about why the people he's talking to are having trouble hearing what he's saying and understanding it. So what he says is, "Why is my language not clear to you? Because you're unable to hear what I say. You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies." So basically, Jesus is just calling Satan out for being a big old liar, pants on fire, and everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie. If you ever hear a voice in your head that is you sound like crazy. If you ever hear a voice in your head. Oh gosh. Okay, so we all kind of have like these little voices in our heads sometimes, but if you ever hear this little voice in your head that is telling you something that you know isn't true, that's not God. And something that he does that's really sneaky is he will try to tell you a lie by making it sound like it's truth. Like, there will be these times where there's a smidgen of truth into what he says, and that makes the lie so much more believable, but there's always a loophole. So just keep that in mind. The second thing is that he's a deceiver. So we're going to go to Revelations 23. Not 23, but chapter 20, verse 3. And in this chapter, we're going to be jumping around a little bit. We're going to go from like verse 3 to verses 7 and 8 to verse 10. So first of all, this is in Revelation, so everything in here is kind of abstract and hard to understand sometimes because this is talking about something that one of the apostles saw in like a vision or a dream. But yeah, that's like the context of Revelation is stuff that is yet to come. I'm going to start at the beginning of the chapter so you have a little bit of context about what's going on. So it says, "And I saw an angel coming down out of heaven, having the key to the abyss and holding in his hand a great chain. He seized the dragon, that ancient serpent who is the devil or Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years." So an angel is coming with a key to the abyss, which is basically like a big old pit, I'm guessing, I mean, that's what an abyss is. And he's going to bind the devil for 1,000 years. Verse 3 is, he threw him into the abyss. He, the angel, threw Satan into the abyss and locked and sealed it over him to keep him from deceiving the nations anymore until the 1,000 years were ended. After that, he must be set free for a short time. And then if you jump down to verses 7 and 8, it mentions again that Satan is a deceiver. So it says, when the 1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog. I have no idea if I'm saying this right. And to gather them for battle. In number, they're like the sand on the seashore. And then if you skip a couple verses down, it says, and the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. There they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. So among all of the crazy stuff that happens in Revelation, this is, biblical. Satan is a deceiver, and like it's even talked about, I believe, in Genesis as well, when Satan deceived Eve into eating, the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So if you want to go check that out too, you can definitely go do that. But these were just some of the verses that I saw in the Bible that talks about how Satan is a deceiver. So that is another hallmark characteristic of the devil. The third thing I want to mention is that he is the enemy of our souls, and he is God's enemy. It's kind of like yin and yang almost, where it's like, you got the light and the dark and they're at war. For evidence of this fact that he's the enemy of our souls and he hates us because of who we belong to, I'm in 1 Peter 5:8, and we're going to read through. So it says, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith, because you know that the family of believers throughout the world is undergoing the same kind of sufferings. This verse is just talking about how the devil, he's looking for someone to devour. That's pretty graphic. He is looking for someone to attack, to devour, and that would, be us. Because, Peter's warning us to be alert. So he's saying, this is out there, watch out, be alert, be of sober mind, resist this, stand firm in the faith, because you know that you're not the only one going through this. So that's point 3, he's the enemy of our souls. Point number 4 is that we Christians all used to be the devil's children, and I know that sounds really creepy, because it is, but we weren't literally his children in the sense of, we were born of him, but it's a figurative thing. We all were born into darkness and sin, and because of that, by default, we were not on God's side. God is a holy God, and he can't be around imperfection. That's just against his character. So because we're human and imperfect and unholy, we were on the devil's side from the moment we were born. We may not necessarily think we hate God, but that's just the side that we end up on by default. So I know I already used this verse once, but it's John 8:44 again. It says, you belong to your father the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. So it's right there in black and white, or maybe red and white, depending upon which version of the Bible you got. But it's right there. It says that we were once belonging to the devil, that we once were his children. So of course he's not going to want to, give us up very easily. And the last point that I want to make for this video is that this world belongs to Satan. I know that we talk about, he's got the whole world in his hands, oh my goodness. I know we talk about that where, we say, this is God's world, this is my Father's world. There's so many songs about that. That's true in a sense. That is true in the sense that God created this world, that he's in control of it. But at the same time, because this world is flawed, it's imperfect, that is why it belongs to Satan. Basically, when we messed up the world, Satan got to come in and mess things up too. For the biblical evidence of this fact that the world belongs to Satan, go to 1 John 5:19. This is just one little verse out of a really good passage, but it says it simply. We know that we are children of God and that the whole world is under the control of the evil one. So that verse is pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. You know, the whole world is under the control of Satan. But I do want to point out that doesn't mean that he controls like everything. God is greater than Satan, so God has control over everything. Satan only has as much control as God allows him to have. So just keep that in mind when I'm saying that. And something kind of interesting that I was thinking about the other day in terms of all this is that this world belongs to Satan. And like I mentioned earlier, we're enemies of Satan. So we're on his turf. It's like we're living in a war zone. Kind of like in World War II. If you were to be, you know, a Jew living in Germany, you're in the enemy's territory. You can expect that there's going to be problems. So that's something to definitely keep in mind, because we are here on enemy sand, or enemy soil, I guess that's the proper word. We're here on enemy soil, enemy turf. So we need to expect and prepare ourselves for the hardships that are going to come, because we're the enemy. The devil's gonna have a target on our backs. If you're living your life in a way that is going to be pleasing to God and you're pursuing God, you can definitely expect the devil to come knocking at your door at some point. There are lots of different ways that the devil can show up in our lives, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next video. I'm starting to lose my voice from all this talking, so I'm going to stop now, because this is probably a really long video, and yeah. So I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this series. I know it was probably kind of like a lot of information, and I don't even know if you particularly found it interesting, but if you did find it interesting or helpful, please give this video a like with the thumbs up button, or you can leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think so far. I mean, if you want to be all like, oh Kendra, you're crazy, in the comments, then whatever. You know, I don't know what to tell you. So that's it for today, you guys. I'll be talking to you later. Bye. La la la. La la la. Wait.